Welcome to the Morning Blitz with John Abraham, Captain Cool, and the Bandiman Bailey Lowery. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Captain Cool.
Hello and welcome into a fun Friday here in No Man's Land. It's April 19th, and you know what that means. Tomorrow is April 20th. So many things are going on, but it's still so far away from the NFL draft, it seems. But not too bad, as we are less than a week away from the new season. That's usually whenever I get into it. But John Abraham, Captain Cool, alongside the Bandiman Bailey Lowery. Hey. We got a lot of fun stuff to get into, of course, starting off the show with the Drudy Arman from Talkin' Ball. Then going over to our mock draft. Bandy will tell me why my picks are not good enough and who he's going to throw at them instead. And then on top of that, there are new uniforms coming to the NFL. And the Detroit Lions said, I want a piece of this. So they said, we're going to throw our new ones out there first. Well, actually, the only ones that are actually going to matter outside of the Jets.
Yeah, I was going to say, the Jets already beat him to the punch, man.
They definitely did that. Just a few days early, but, even before both of those teams, it was the Houston Texans that threw out whatever they think New Jersey is. But putting that all to the side, we got to focus on the things at hand, and, of course, that is going to be talking with you, Drew, about some of these Alabama football players going into the NFL draft. Kind of just talk about some of them, who you think is going to have maybe the brightest pro career, and who you think is going to go first in the first round on April 25th.
Well, I don't think there's any question that Dallas Turner's going first. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just seen some of the buzz this week on ESPN, and he's being talked about as a top 10 pick. And, he had a great year. He was SEC Defensive Player of the Year following up, his former teammate Will Anderson. And so there's no question that he's a supreme talent. Yeah. And there's no question that the 2022 Alabama team underachieved when you had all that talent on there. And, all I'll say to Ole Miss is I know they have very high expectations with Wild Turkey, but good luck, because he had 2 top 10 picks, maybe even – who knows? Dallas could even go in the top 5, but I think he's going to go in the top 10. But he had the number 3 pick and the top 10 pick, edge rusher, and couldn't make the college football playoffs. Yeah, but anyways, but I think Dallas will go first. I think pass rushers are at a premium, like left tackles, even like right tackles, offensive tackles. Pass rushers, quarterbacks. Now they're all overreacting with the quarterbacks. That's what they do first, and because at least 2 or 3 of them will be absolutely horrendous, and probably not even be full-time starters in 2 years. But they're all going to overdraft at the quarterback position. But again, the edge rushers, the tackles. I think J.C. Latham. I think he'll probably go in the top 15 to top 20. I know he's a little heavy his last year at Alabama, but I think he has a lot of potential to be a 10-year starting right tackle for you. So I think he's definitely going and then in the round 1. And then Terrion Arnold. I mean, he totally took advantage of his opportunities a year ago. The only thing that kind of bugs me is with Kool-Aid McKinstry. I know he's had an injury or two, but Kool-Aid is a shutdown corner to me. Yeah. I know that there's some that have got him written out of the first round. I think that's a mistake. I think it's about as stupid as D'Amico Ryans going at the top of the second round. I mean, to me, Kool-Aid played some as a freshman, but when you saw him be a full-time starter for 2 straight years at Alabama in the SEC, he didn't get picked on a lot. Everybody wants to say he didn't make a lot of interceptions, but that's like Sauce Gardner. You're not throwing at his side. Mm-hmm. And so everybody was picking on Terrion last year because he was the new guy and hadn't played a lot, and they wanted to stay away from Kool-Aid. Now, I know, and again, injuries are part of it, but I think Kool-Aid's getting healthy, and I thought Kool-Aid handled himself well at Alabama. He was a leader. I think he's a big-time player. Now, the one thing he did develop last year was the yips as a punt returner. Mm-hmm. But he's
not going to do that.
He's not going to do that in the NFL anyway. He's just going to go. He's going to go man up on somebody, because Kool-Aid. I mean, we saw it when Caleb Downs went back there. For whatever reason, Kool-Aid, he was a good returner, not a great one. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of a feel thing. And it was obvious when they put Caleb Downs back there that he was a more explosive guy, okay? So, but Kool-Aid, there's no question in my mind that he can be a shutdown corner in the NFL. to me, I think Alabama should have 4 first-round picks. I think, Dallas will go in the top 10. I would tell you that I think, Terrion Arnold, J.C. Latham in the top 20, and I think somewhere, in the 20s, maybe a low 30s near the end of the first round, Kool-Aid needs to go. He needs to go somewhere. Like if I'm the San Francisco 49ers, and they've got a Super Bowl caliber team, but if I can get Kool-Aid McKinstry at the end of the first round, because corners are very valuable as well, because it's a passing league. Mm-hmm. We all know that. Everybody's throwing the football all around. If you can upgrade your secondary, to me, or think about the Chiefs. They just traded one of their best young corners because they didn't want to pay him. You can plug in Kool-Aid McKinstry, who played at a championship level program at Alabama that nearly played for a national championship and played for championships throughout his career. So, and Kool-Aid won high school state championships. He's a winner, man. And to me, it could work out to Kool-Aid's benefit if he goes in the latter part of the first round, because in many cases you're going to a good organization that maybe is just looking to, maybe for that final piece or to have a really good player fall to them and yet keep it rolling as a great organization. So
in a mock draft right now that I'm looking at, they got him falling down to the 29th pick to the Detroit Lions.
What did we just say?
Hey, it's a full circle moment right there.
That's a good upgrade right there.
John was just talking about the new uniforms and everything, but if you're Detroit and you just nearly went to your first Super Bowl, you lost in the NFC Championship game, you have Super Bowl aspirations.
Yeah.
And you can pick a corner of the caliber of Kool-Aid McKinstry to plug into your defense. He's a Dan Campbell kind of dude, man.
Yeah.
He would fit, what Detroit's trying to build there. And they love Bama guys.
True.
Winners get wings. Winners go to playoffs. Winners go to Super Bowls.
For sure.
You need to draft winners, not losers. You don't draft Ohio State Buckeyes.
For sure about that. That gives us another reason to why we're so connected with the Natty Dan, because of all the things he loves in Detroit, more or less Michigan, but kind of looking at Terrion Arnold a little bit because, of course, Kool-Aid's been with the Alabama squad for quite a while. I remember when he first hopped on, he got that endorsement from Kool-Aid themselves. But Terrion Arnold's a little bit of a different type of subject. He's coming out of college as a sophomore, going into the NFL. Do you think that's going to maybe scare off a few of the scouts that, he's a little bit younger with a little less
No, because he's played 3 years just like Kool-Aid, but the difference is he redshirted.
Yeah, okay.
He had to come in redshirt, and he just like Kool-Aid, they were both multi-sport guys in high school, but Terrion was a little raw. Needed a red shirt, learn. Who you compare him to is Marlon Humphrey. Marlon Humphrey did the same thing coming out of Hoover because he had to build his frame up. And then Marlon played 2 years, went out as a national champion in 2016. Okay. In that 2015 team, because Marlon, he just had an outstanding career. At Alabama, he wasn't there long, but he made an impact. And he got a national championship. He ended up leaving the University of Alabama. And then he was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens, who have one of the best organizations in the NFL. He was only a redshirt sophomore, and people wondered if he'd come back, but he made the right decision because he played at a high level at Alabama the 2 years he was on the field. Again, he was a national champ, and he's become a shutdown corner in the NFL. Now, he's had a few injury issues, but he got a big contract. He played at a very high level quickly in the NFL. Got that big contract, has been an All-Pro, and he's been on the field. And again, it's hard to believe he's almost lasted 10 years in the league. But he came out young as only a redshirt sophomore. But he was extremely well coached and developed at Alabama. And immediately, and look, it was by no accident that Ozzie Newsome was running the Ravens and they drafted him. He was very familiar with Marlon and his lineage and his ability as a player. And so I think when you look at Terrion, you look at a guy like Marlon Humphrey, he may have only played 2 full years and had a redshirt year, But last year, Terrion was a big play guy, made a lot of plays. They tried to pick on him, staying away from Kool-Aid. He was up for the challenge, and certainly I think he'd be up for the challenge in this draft. And the good thing about Terrion is he can also play the nickel. He played different spots in that Alabama secondary, and I think even later in his career he could do a Kareem Jackson. He could turn around and play safety in his career. He has enough length and size to do that, much like Kareem has, and he's had a borderline Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, the multi-talented prospects are definitely going to be the ones to be looked at. And you bring up Ozzie Newsome. I know this is a weird segue, but it does segue into the tight end C.J. Dupree, who's projected third round. Don't really go off of that because it could be any time that he could be off the draft or the board. But kind of talk about him. I mean, where does he kind of fall in these Alabama studs? C.J.
Well,
Dupree?
he stayed in school, guys. He's coming back.
Okay.
He will be. Was a little nicked up at the end of the year and a little nicked up in the spring, and so he wasn't featured. But C.J. Dupree will be back for his senior year at Alabama. I think he has a chance to develop into a pro because he's going to be a guy that can be a 3-down tight end, no doubt about it. We'll see, if what kind of senior year he has. This will be his second year coming at Alabama after transferring from Maryland. A lot of times the second year is the best one. And the good thing with this offense and what Kalen DeBoer does is they throw the ball vertically a lot. They featured the tight end. I think they like C.J. Dupree. They like Danny Lewis a lot, who is another guy that's been there a couple years trying to develop as a 3-down tight end. Then you've got the hybrid guy, Caleb Odom, who we didn't see a lot of in the spring game, but you already heard during the spring of the impact he was making. He's almost like a big wide receiver, no doubt about it. But I think overall, when you look at it, that C.J. Dupree is a guy that can follow along the lines of an Irv Smith, who had a big final year at Alabama and moved on to the NFL. He's still playing in the National Football League. I would kind of equate C.J. Dupree to a guy like that. I think he's a good player. He probably was underutilized in the offense a year ago, but hopefully this year there'll be – because this is going to be a timing and rhythm passing game, and they're going to attack the middle of the field. That's going to open up opportunities for tight ends. And so the C.J. Duprees, the Danny Lewises. Danny Lewis had a couple catches in the spring game. They didn't show Dupree a lot, but I still think Dupree is going to be the starting, 3-down tight end. And then with Caleb Odom, they've got – and don't forget Robbie Oots. Oots is more of an H-back type fullback. He had a catch in the spring game as well. So Alabama's got a lot of talent returning at that tight end position led by C.J. Dupree.
No doubt about that. Good stuff from Drew DeArmond as he sets up for the NFL draft going on next week. A lot of Alabama prospects to look at. Some we even think are going to be in the NFL, but are coming back, and that just means even better times for Alabama to come. We appreciate it, Drew. Enjoy your weekend. We'll get you back on Monday to kind of finalize some of these picks, as well as just talk a little bit more Crimson Tide.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a great weekend. It's going to be a big weekend for Alabama baseball. They're playing a doubleheader today shortly after you guys show. They're hopefully, weather permitting, they're gonna start the doubleheader at about 11, and they got rained out yesterday. But they beat the number one team in the country 2 out of 3 last week. Now they're playing the new number one team in the country at home. So it never ends in SEC baseball. But certainly Alabama trying to stay in contention for a spot in Hoover, and they'll get an opportunity to compete against Texas A&M this weekend.
If they can do it once, they can do it twice.
Truly an interesting team. After they beat, of course, Arkansas, they went on to lose against UAB. And a week before that, they lost to South Alabama. So it just shows you, Alabama baseball is very tough. But, those midweek games don't matter as much as those conference games. But we got to hop into a break because when we come back, part 2 of round 1 of the NFL draft and my mock draft coming up next here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopay. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dorton Dressman. A mostly cloudy to overcast sky this afternoon. Scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to be in the forecast, but there is going to be a significant period of dry time. We are going to be a little bit cooler today. Temperatures only climbing into the low and mid-70s. We're dropping into the low and mid-50s as we head into the overnight early into your Saturday morning. Scattered showers and thunderstorms through much of Saturday afternoon. We are going to be on the cooler end of the spectrum. We're dropping into the upper 40s, lower 50s as we head into the overnight. A cloudy sky for your Sunday. Plenty of rain across the Tennessee Valley. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dorton Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Each week, check out our latest zone deal online at 977ESPN.com.
I'm eating good food.
We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Bandy, these last few days have been quite unlucky for me, all right? It's been a good year since I've moved here now.
They've been unlucky?
They've been a little unlucky, all right? So it started with, of course, Arizona Coyotes. They're no more. They've been vanished off the face of the earth. They're going to play somewhere in Utah with some whack name. Hopefully, they still keep a little bit of the Native American heritage. Of course, these jerseys, a little bit referencing some Aztec culture, I would say. There's definitely some of that going on in Utah as well. But forget about that. I also lost my debit card. That sucks, you know. Ooh. Yeah. Don't worry, I froze it. Right? So if you find one out there that says my name on it, you can't use it. I know you wanna. There's not that much money on it anyway, so forget about it. On top of that, my car battery died in the parking lot of Baumhauer's yesterday. Oh no. Because I went in to get some footage for the Trash Pandas commercial we're gonna have, of course, on the 23rd. Cannot wait for it. Yeah. And thankfully enough, there was this very nice gentleman that was able to stop by. His daughter was on his way. She had cables in her car, and she was able to fix me up and get me out of there just right. It was a little awkward, though. Look, I've had my car die a few times, Bandy, but it's never been right next to where my boss and Steve Moulton and Drew are all doing their show for the drive. Very embarrassing for me, but, you know, we got it dealt with, and we went on with our day. Some other crap has happened. I think I forgot my wallet, and I went to Walmart, and then I realized when I was at the Walmart. But, you know, it's just a bunch of unlucky stuff. But forget about that, all of that. Just throw it off to the side because we got to get into the NFL mock draft. This is part 2. Going to have a lot of fun with it. You guys can also join in on the show, 256-5764.
97.7
is the number to get in.
Speaking of draft.
What?
Right when the show starts.
Yeah?
Connecticut freshman Stefan Castle.
Okay.
Is entering the NBA draft.
Where the cricket sounds at. We're focused on the NFL.
The
all
true
right?
freshman,
Okay. Oh,
Stephon Castle.
the true freshman.
Yes.
Golly, how young can you be to enter into that draft over in the NBA? I feel like you don't even need to go to college.
I mean, I just kind of want to bring it up because I'm not going to lie. It just kind of feels fresh.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't think I'd get to the point where, like, seeing a one-and-done college player feels fresh.
Yeah.
And, like, it feels refreshing to see that in wake of the NIL era. But it's like, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it.
He's like,
guy's a good player. Hope he gets drafted.
He's like, yeah, I'll transfer into the NBA.
Yes, sir.
All right.
On to the NFL.
So we went over the first round. This is also going to bleed into the third segment, of course. But we started off Caleb Williams, of course, Jaden Daniels to the Commanders, J.J. McCarthy to the Patriots, Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals. We'll go quick with it. Joe Alt to the Chargers. Then we're going to have Malik Neighbors going to the Giants, add on to those wide receivers that do not exist for Daniel Jones. Talisi Fuaga is going to the Titans because Joe Alt's going to, of course, the Chargers, if that does happen. Dallas Turner gets drafted by the Falcons. Jaden Verse goes to the Bears. Brock Bowers to the Jets. And the Vikings pick up Johnny Newton from Illinois. So now we're refreshed. We start back on pick number 11, part 2 of the first round. John Abraham's mock draft alongside, of course, Bandy's little inputs that he's going to throw in. So who are the Broncos going to pick? They lose Russell Wilson. They don't lose him. They get rid of him. They're like, we don't need you anymore. And they think about, well, we could pick up a quarterback. Of course, the big names are all off the board. Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, all those guys gone. All right?
True.
Michael Penix Jr. is still there. Bo Nix is still. You gave me a little eye twitch when I said Michael Penix's name. He's not going first round. He could, if somebody wanted some depth. He's not going first round. All right, but yeah, I mean, this Broncos team could pick up a guy like Latu, and it's hard to pass up on this dude. All right, but with the experience and drive a guy like Bo Nix has, bring him onto this roster. And then now you have a scenario where you got this young quarterback you can really build up. And on top of that, of course, you can have him sit behind, for 4 games behind some Joe Schmo who's going to lead your team into a 2-2 record. Moving on, 13. I mean, okay. The Raiders could theoretically grab Michael Penix Jr. Now we can talk about it.
I was kind of, that's kind of why I did
yeah.
I feel like the Raiders are in more of a need of a quarterback spot than the Broncos are.
And, of course, we're not doing any of those crazy trades because we don't know who's going to trade with who. There's some ideas that we could throw out there, but we're not going to deal with all that mess. It'll take forever. So the Raiders could grab Michael Penix, okay, way above his draft grade. But I sided with the majority of mock drafters out there. Get an offensive lineman like Penn State's Alumua Fashanu. I cannot pronounce this guy's name. I'm just going to call him Fashanu, all right? Bring him in, all right? You get this big offensive lineman. It's perfect spot for him to fall. And on top of that, Aiden O'Connell's not a bad QB. He was capable of doing some things. Put him in there. Let him kind of cook. Have a little bit of help at that offensive line.
He is a quarterback in the NFL.
And that's better than any of us could be, all right? I will say that much. Moving on to the 14th. Just because the first 3 offensive tackles are off the board doesn't mean they'll drop off with that 4th pick, right? I mean, that 4th one's not going to be bad.
True.
The Saints still have a plethora of talent to choose from, whether you're going to go with J.C. Latham, Amarius Mims from Georgia, or even Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. But for me, the Saints will snag the elusive and multi-dimensional Troy Fautanu from Washington. I think he's a little bit smaller. I think he's a little bit more quick. I think he's going to be a perfect little fit. And honestly, it's going to help out because Derek Carr needs that help at that QB position. He tried to be elite last season. He couldn't. He had to deal with some injuries. It just wasn't there for him. He's going to come back. He's going to have an offensive line. He's going to be fine. And I think Troy Fautanu is going to do a great job blocking for that team.
See, I got a different take when it comes to the Saints squad. I feel like they need some help on the offensive line.
Well, that's what I went with. I went with the offensive line.
True.
You might have missed that. Okay. What are you thinking?
You got him going on earlier in the draft. I think this is actually where J.C. Latham goes.
Okay. Hot take. Hot take.
I mean, I think this is where he falls.
That's totally understandable too, man.
Yeah, and again, kind of like we were agreeing, the Saints with their offensive line just haven't really been that's kind of been the trend for them, though, hasn't it? It hasn't exactly been very healthy.
Saints, Bengals, Titans, those 3 teams, throw them out there. They're all having the same types of problems.
Yeah, so, I mean, you got Trevor Penning not really playing to the best of his ability.
Yeah.
And you got one of your key guys, and Ryan Ramczyk. Inconsistent at best.
Yeah. I'll agree with you, Bandy. Add on to that offensive line, though, whether you're going with
I'm talking about
JC
himself,
Latham.
not his play. Like, he's inconsistently on the field.
Yeah. Any one of those, offensive linemen are going to be great. All right. I went with Troy Fatananu because I thought, this would be a great little pick for him, elusive offensive lineman. But if you want to go with the tank of J.C. Latham, bring him. Snag him up. Pick him and throw him on the team. Now, moving on to 15. The Colts have a young yet talented secondary, all right? So why not add another one, all right? Another talented kid in the form of Toledo's Quinion Mitchell. Now, I think you're probably like, oh, well, why don't they pick up Terry Arnold? Why don't they pick up Kool-Aid McKinstry? Just wait.
I was doing Terry and Arnold.
I understand. He's all over the draft board, though.
Mitchell, though, is a good pick.
Mitchell is a great pick. He really boasted up his draft stock, I would say, during the offseason, during his secret little camp that he was doing. I think that this is a good little pick that the Colts will be able to snag. Their offense is starting to fall into place. They just got to keep their guy healthy, of course, in Anthony Richardson. I think their defense is also going to be to the point where they might have one of the better secondaries in the entire NFL. Moving on to 16. The Seahawks will, in fact, need to get some pieces for their offensive line to help out with an aging veteran quarterback in Geno Smith.
Yeah.
But with defensive end, Latu, I didn't throw him on a team yet. No, there's just a lot of these types of guys that, have these crazy names. Still on the board. This guy's still on the board. The UCLA project, all right? Still on the board. You add him to a questionable exterior on the defensive line, and you got to go with the kid. I mean, you just got to go with the kid. You cannot pass on him if he is still on the board, especially with his connection with Washington. He's going to have a little bit of a familiarity with the Seahawks organization. So pick up Latu and see where that goes. You're going to have a wonderful time. Bring back the Legion of Boom, please.
See, I was feeling, I'm with you. I'm still on that line. I thought this is where Faltonu is going to fall.
Okay.
Because he's got the Washington connection.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's 2 you could probably pick from. I think Faltonu is going to go a little bit sooner. It's really tough to say these guys' names, especially back and forth. I get mixed up with them. Faltonu, yeah. It's going to be something.
Have we talked about the guy from Penn State yet?
Oh, I'm going to get there, Bandy, and I probably won't even say his name. Next is going to be the Jaguars at that 17th pick, just because they found a fundamental – okay, no. The Jaguars have not found a fundamental piece at the wide receiver position in a long time. The thought of Calvin Ridley would be that guy, all that stuff. He's on the Browns now. He wasn't drafted by this team. He was drafted by the Falcons. He came over, and obviously he had a little bit of a interesting time with the Jags. The last time they drafted a wide receiver in the first round was Justin Blackmon back in 2012. What did he do? Not much. He was out of there as soon as Denard Robinson was. But I think there's still a guy on the board that's able to bring some talent for Trevor Lawrence to utilize in the form of Rome Odunze from Washington. Yeah, you could go with Brian Thomas Jr. No. This is a Jaguars team that likes speed. They're going to pick up Rome Odunze. This kid is elite. I cannot wait to see it happen. Bandy, we got one more pick, then we got to bleed it into the next segment. But the Bengals are next on the board. And similar to the Titans, they don't have an offensive line. It's just not that good.
I'm starting to see a trend here with this year's draft.
Yeah, Bandy, yeah, definitely. But at this point, okay, the Bengals could pick an offensive lineman, but at this point, why wouldn't they draft an exceptional defensive lineman to add on to that defense to make it just a little bit more scary and grab Byron Murphy II from Texas, who's still somehow on the board in my mock draft, someone who could easily be picked around number 11 by the Vikings, but I see them bolstering that defensive line with the big man out of Texas. And I think this would be a spectacular pick for the Bengals, and I think it's exactly what's going to happen, unless there's a bunch of trade crazy stuff happening. I don't know.
I'll throw another one out there because, I like the idea of still going with the offensive, onto the offensive line.
Okay, so you want to go with the offensive line. I'm going defensive line. What do you got?
I want to go with the offensive line. How about out of Georgia? Amarius Mims. because look what they got. That's like Cincinnati wants to have like those huge dudes just to give Joe Burrow as much protection as possible.
Yeah.
As well as it's worked this last year, but that's neither here nor there. But one of those guys, though, is on his last year of his contract. Trent Brown.
Oh, that is true.
He is on the last year of his contract. So when he gets replaced, he's going to be moving on. Why not just go ahead, grab Amarius Mims out of Georgia, and just have him right there to just fill in that gap?
Yeah, and it'd give him perfect time to kind of understand the organization and how that offense works as well.
And he fits the criteria.
Yeah. I agree with
he's
that.
6'8", 340. He fits.
He's the only guy you could really have, face off against J.C. Latham and really maybe cause a little bit of a commotion, all right? J.C. Latham weighs a little bit more. He's what is it, like, I don't know. How much shorter is he? I think it's 6'7" versus a 6'8", man, so it's just, barely off. But no, Bandy, I think that's a great pick as well. But just wait. Just let me cook a little bit. Because number 20 is going to surprise you. Maybe not that much. But we got to hop into a break. When we come back, finishing off this draft, this mock draft, at least the second part, getting onto a little bit of those new uniforms being thrown at the NFL and what we may see in the future. Let me tell you, you might want a doggy bag. Because the Houston Texans are going a weird route. But ain't that the trend? That's what's coming up when we get back here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Unlike other credit cards that decline sports betting transactions or treat them as a cash advance, the GBank Visa Signature Card can load directly to your favorite sportsbook apps. G.bank/VSiN.
NBA play-in round action tonight. The Bulls are on the road at Miami. The Heat favored by 2.5. Chicago plus 120. The over-under 208.5. The winner advances to face the top-seeded Boston Celtics. Chicago's Alex Caruso is in doubt for the game. He's dealing with a significant ankle injury. Meanwhile, Jimmy Butler is out for the Heat. He's dealing with a knee injury. In the Western Conference play-in game tonight, New Orleans hosts Sacramento. The Kings a slim 1-point favorite. New Orleans plus 105. The over-under 210.5. The Celtics are the betting favorite to win the title at plus 190. The defending champion Nuggets plus 320. Get the latest lines and more at vsin.com.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold-certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
I'm here today with Dr. Tracy Lowery of Veracity Vein Center. Now, how does someone suspect they have vein issues?
The most common symptoms associated with vein issues include leg heaviness, aching, and swelling, with some patients having visible veins as well. Vein issues can be easily diagnosed using ultrasound, with treatments performed as an outpatient using the latest minimally invasive techniques. Diagnosis and treatment is covered by most insurances. Both men and women have vein issues, though men may be more likely to ignore their symptoms when they're playing golf or walking the stadium steps. They too will benefit from correction of their vein problem. Patients can contact our clinics in Huntsville and new clinics in Madison and Coleman at 256-715-7151 or visit us at VeracosityVeinCenter.com.
Veracity Vein Center, Alabama's premier vein center.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said,
If you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dorton Dressman. A mostly cloudy to overcast sky this afternoon. Scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to be in the forecast, but there is going to be a significant period of dry time. We are going to be a little bit cooler today. Temperatures only climbing into the low and mid-70s. We're dropping into the low and mid-50s as we head into the overnight early into your Saturday morning. Scattered showers and thunderstorms through much of Saturday afternoon. We are going to be on the cooler end of the spectrum. We're dropping into the upper 40s, lower 50s as we head into the overnight. A cloudy sky for all your Sunday. Plenty of rain across the Tennessee Valley. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dorton Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We cover all the SEC schools, including Western Union and Venmo.
I want that money!
You know, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, let's slow things down for you a little bit, because we were moving extremely fast in the last segment, and that's just how it is over here on the Morning Blitz. Very energetic, very speedy segments. That's what you get out of it. It's like a Snickers bar in the morning because you couldn't have breakfast. It might be bad for your stomach later, but you know what? It'll do something for you.
I know that feeling, but we only got an hour. We got to fit as much into this 1 hour as we can.
Yeah, and we appreciate you guys for listening. We also appreciate this show's sponsor, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, the guys you need to talk to about all of your roofing needs. If you're having any roofing problems, make sure you look them up online at FlemingHSV.com to fill out your free quote today. And remember, Bandy, what is it?
Fleming always
shows up. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. Let's get into the rest of this. Of course, we're going to run down what we did talk about in the last segment if you weren't with us. Bo Nix to the Broncos. Broncos said, dude, you know what? We don't know what to do here. We need a quarterback. Bo Nix, come on in here. This might be the most questionable, but at the same time, Bo Nix might be the one that succeeds out of these quarterbacks. Who knows?
He could?
Who really knows? I mean, J.J. McCarthy, we could see some back and forth from him. Come on, Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams is going to be a bust. I'm going to say that. And I think that I'm not alone with that take, but I think it's going to be a bust. Jaden Daniels, he's going to succeed. I could see him being the next Lamar Jackson, just a little bit taller.
Look, can I actually turn this into a take argument to where I think it's actually just a lot. I feel like it's not just on the player.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
I feel like all of these guys coming out of college are really good talent. But a part of what goes into what makes a player a bust or not is also what organization he gets drafted to.
No doubt about it, Bandy. I couldn't have said it any better. They need to fall into those right pieces, and also you don't want to rush these guys. You don't want to throw them in right off the bat, or they're going to end up like Drew Lock, where you're thrown into the fray right away. And now you're just thrown to different teams left and right trying to figure out where you're supposed to be, and it just does not work. Just does not work. And I could say that is definitely the case with a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of players just in the past, Vandy.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that.
I'm starting to wonder, what if I was trying to remember, did Vince Young get drafted by the Titans or did he get traded there?
He got drafted by the Titans out of Texas.
What if he didn't get drafted by the Titans?
Well, he did have a good first season,
and he didn't have that he never had that conflict with Jeff Fisher.
Yeah, he did have a good first season. He had a good second season. After that, it kind of all went downhill for him. All right, it's definitely a question to be asked another day. We'll definitely figure it out because again, we got to finish off this second part of the first round. But it is definitely a question, and we might even do a top 10 over the quarterbacks that could have been elite but were drafted by just the wrong team. 13th pick to the Raiders, we went with Alumua Fashanu. All right, Fashanu. I'm going to get mixed up with these names all day long. He's the guy out of Penn State, Bandy, that we were talking about.
Yep.
I jumped the gun on him. I said that we are not to him yet. We are to him. He's going to the Raiders. Offensive tackle, going to help out Aiden O'Connell. They're not going to get an elite quarterback, so why not go with an elite offensive tackle, offensive lineman? And then number 14, think that what is it, the Saints? The Saints are going to have a plethora of talent. I think they're going to go with Troy Fatananu. I think he's going to be great, multidimensional, out of Washington. Colts are going to go with Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo. Cornerback, going to help them out very much with that young secondary. And then Latu is going to go to the Seahawks, going to add on and really just help out and maybe create the second coming of the Legion of Boom that we've been waiting so much for. They could go with the tackle, could help out Geno Smith, but with a guy like Latu still on the board, no doubt about it, no question, you're going with him. Jaguars going to pick up Romo Duze. They lost Calvin Ridley. He's playing on the Browns now. They don't have any wide receivers that I can really speak of, so why not try again? Because the last time you picked a wide receiver was Justin Blackmon in 2012. See how far that went? Not too amazing, but I mean, he did okay in his first season. Romo Dunze to the Jaguars. Byron Murphy to the Bengals to help out that defensive line. I know they could go with offensive tackle, offensive lineman. They need help everywhere when it comes to the line, but I think they're going to try for the defensive side of the ball this year. Now on to pick 19. Haven't talked about it yet. Haven't spoken a word about what the Los Angeles Rams are going to be doing. But they would have loved to get the talent of Byron Murphy, Dallas Turner, Jared Verse. Who knows? Maybe they'll even trade up. But one thing's for certain. They'll need to fill that gap that Aaron Donald has left.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
And this is going to go over to our second Penn State dude in the form of Chop Robinson.
Oh.
Yeah. I think he's capable of doing it. Regardless, he might be picked a little high in this, but I think that it's the next best option for the Rams. Is he going to last as long as Aaron Donald? I'm not sure. But I think he's going to bring kind of I would say a little piece that fills a little hole that's going to need to be filled yet again in probably 4 or 5 years. Okay. Chop Robinson to the Rams. The Steelers have a toss-up pick here. They'll need their line to be, stout with new talent. Behind the center, Justin Fields is going to be back there. Of course, there's going to be Russell Wilson. You're going to need somebody to protect these guys because they've been running for their lives for the last 3 or 4 years.
Oh, Justin Fields has been pretty good at that, though.
Yeah, he's really good at that. For Russell Wilson, I don't know if he's going to see the field in the first place. He doesn't need to. He's making plenty of money. But, again, you get a veteran talent. You need to protect these guys. We saw what happened to Aaron Rodgers. Geno Smith is also one of those guys that's going to need an offensive line that's going to be able to hold up for him. But thankfully enough, J.C. Latham and Amarius Mims are still on the board, and the Steelers could pick one of the two. They could also go the wide receiver route. I say wait. You do need to replace Dante Johnson or whatever his name is. Yeah. Wait a second. You can get somebody in the second round. Just hold off on it. I like J.C. Latham. But with Mims' former teammate, Broderick Jones, on the opposite side of the ball, or on the opposite side of the line, why wouldn't you just get another Kirby product?
Yeah.
Bring him in. So Mims to the Steelers. Bandy, I told you. Just let me cook.
Yeah, no, I like it. I mean, I like Mims going a little bit earlier. I mean, the NFL.com mock draft has Graham Barton going here, like the center for the Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah.
Also would not be a bad pick, but, I mean,
I'm going to hold off on him a little bit because I've seen him somewhat in the top 20, top 15. I'm just like, maybe.
I think kind of depending on where the talent falls. I mean, you could go with Graham Barton, but I mean, we could wait and see.
Barton is definitely a piece that needs to fit in the right organization.
Yes.
So that's something that's going to happen. Whereas you could throw a guy like Amarius Mims, you could throw a guy like J.C. Latham, you can throw other guys into a lot of these positions, and they just have those big bodies, and they're just going to instantly help out your team. Now moving on to the Dolphins, which is the hardest team to pick for. They seem elite on offense, but have a somewhat scary situation with Tua. They could add to Tua's receivers, because why the hell not? Or they could get some defensive help, because remember, they did lose to the Ravens 59-19. Not good look.
They need some defensive help.
Oof, honestly. This is how I felt about this one. I actually wrote this in the script. Oof, honestly, I have no idea. Seeing how the top defensive linemen are off the board, they might need to go with the saving Tua route, Bandy.
The saving Tua route?
And I'm thinking J.C. Latham is going to finally land. He's going to be helping out his fellow Crimson Tide alum, Tua Tagovailoa.
You think he's going to fall down this far?
I think he's probably going to fall down this far.
Okay.
I think so because he's a different type of pick. He's gigantic. Doesn't have the speed, but he's gigantic. I could see the Jets picking him up early. But outside of a few teams, who do you really want? You want an elusive offensive lineman or do you want a gigantic offensive lineman? Jason Latham's going to be a lot smaller in the NFL. I think he's going to lessen his weight, but I think he's still going to have that size that is going to intimidate the defensive line, and that's why I think the Dolphins are going to be a good pick. Even though when you think of the Dolphins, you think of small and quick.
That's true.
They're going a different route in 2024.
See, I feel like they're going to go a different route, though, with the draft.
Okay, even a different route.
Because they need help on the defensive side of the ball.
They do.
I think their offense is a little all right. I mean, their offensive line does need work. Offensively, I think they're all right, but defensively, I mean, Andrew Van Ginkel is leaving this offseason. Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb are recovering from injury.
Yep.
Why not go instead? You go the edge rushing route.
Okay.
And you go over to Florida State and you pick up Jared Verse.
Well, that's if he was still on the board. I would put him. I'd put him in here.
Yeah, but I think this is where Jared Verse. Yeah. I think Jared Verse will fall this far.
Okay.
I could see Miami picking him up to get that immediate help on the defensive side.
I definitely understand that, and I think that it would be a great pickup for them. But I sadly had Jared Verse going to the Bears because I think they're going to get the talent on offense. Of course, Caleb Williams going first, and then they're going to need. Dang, Bandy, we went well over. Jeez. I'll just finish it off. And then for the final pick in today's part, we have the Eagles. Bandy, what did the Eagles have last year that they don't this year? I'll help you. A center. Jason Kelsey is gone. They want the tush push back. They're going to replace him with the likes of Oregon's Jackson Powers Johnson. Way easier pick right there than the Dolphins.
What about Graham Barton?
Don't worry about it. I'm thinking Jackson Powers Johnson is the best center going into this year's draft, and I think that is exactly the pick for the Eagles, unless they decide to go somewhere else with it. Who freaking knows? But hey, the tush push may see the light of day yet again in 2024. We got to hop into a break. We're well over here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-306-8158 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-306-8158. That's 800-306-8158. What do you have to lose? Call 800-306-8158. Again, 800-306-8158.
The new favorite place for delicious Mexican food is Corralejos Mexican Grill in Huntsville. Check out their reviews on Facebook and you'll see what people are raving about. Enjoy drink specials all day Monday through Thursday, like house margaritas for $3.99 and 12-ounce drafts for $2. Even vegan-friendly entrees on Monday starting at 5. Bingo every Monday night too starting at 7. Corralejos Mexican Grill, 1658 Old Monrovia Road in Huntsville. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram to stay updated on their specials.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to us on our YouTube channel and Twitch. Just search 97.7 ESPN. We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hello and welcome back in. Final segment of the Morning Blitz. John Abraham, Captain Cool, alongside the Bandiman, Bailey Lowery, and we got into quite a bit of fun on this fun Friday in No Man's Land. The fans are finally off. I believe it's cool now in this studio. So
yeah,
that's
it feels
amazing.
cool. I mean, with all the fans going, it definitely was cool.
Yeah, it definitely was throwing me off as well, hearing that huge just gust of wind constantly throughout the show. But now we can kind of focus a little bit more on closing out the show and make sure you guys tune in to more of the fun to come this weekend as Alabama and Texas A&M face off in just, an hour, I believe. Right after this show, you're going to be able to catch that. And then on top of that, Trash Pandas Baseball is back against Pensacola yet again over on Talk Radio WZZN. And then why not some more baseball in the form of the Atlanta Braves versus the Rangers. Lots of fun stuff to come with that. And also, on top of that, lots of fun stuff to come in the coming months because, Bandy, we got the Eagle Insulation Charity Golf Classic to benefit Alabama's Make-A-Wish Foundation. So if you guys want to join in on the fun over at Cherokee Ridge Country Club, check us out on socials and online, 977ESPN.com for all of the details with that. Bandy, I'm wearing a jersey that already was already vintage, all right? Arizona Coyotes brought it back last few years, and it was very nice. But now it's extremely vintage because they're off and running to Utah, and they're going to have a wonderful time, whatever. Utah Jazz, you're going to have a nice little friend in the form of the Utah Spaz, I'll say.
But hey, speaking of former things that were in Arizona, did you happen to hear about Jaden Rashada?
Yeah, I did. That's hilarious. That's a great segue, Bandy. He's entered into the transfer portal and now is looked at as the number one quarterback to pick up. If a team needs a quarterback right now and there's a quarterback in the transfer portal, why not pick up Rashada out of Arizona State? It would be a pretty good little pickup for any squad looking for a multi-dimensional quarterback. Kind of reminds me a lot of Jaden Daniels in a way. Didn't Jaden Daniels go to Arizona State before he came over to LSU?
I need to look that up, but right now the primary target, though, right now for Rashada is looking like the Georgia Bulldogs.
Oh, my gosh. Come on. Oh, I mean, for him or like Kirby Smart's thinking? Like maybe I could pick up Jaden
probably
Rashada.
both.
Huh. Well, that would be something. Definitely set up for a QB battle over in Georgia. Well, we'll look forward to that then for next week. Some more transfer portal news should definitely come into play. We'll definitely be seeing more NFL uniforms being dropped this weekend. Very much looking forward to that. Definitely got to get the opinions of Natty Dan in that new gear that the Detroit Lions are going to be bringing in because those things are clean. If you are a uniform file like myself, you are eating this offseason. For me and the Bandiman, we got to get out of here. We'll be back on Monday for more of the fast sports talk you look forward to in the Morning Blitz here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discuss